Hey there. Um, Soon the holiday shopping season will be upon us, and that means a lot more work. Unless, of course, my patrons would support me to the point where I can cut hours. Hint, hint. Alright, hello out there, all my friends on YouTube. You may have noticed my output in July seemed to be quite a bit lower, but that's because I made 3 figures that had to be kept secret because they're entering contests on Figure Realm. You'll find out what one of them is next week, and then like the following week you'll find out the other 2. But for now, let's do another commission figure. This one's for DA user BigBoss1233, and it's Nicole. Still in her pre-Super Genesis wave design because, well, you know, that's how the pre-Super Genesis wave is 2 decades of comic continuity. It's going to take a long time before our nostalgia resets for it. Alright, so the head came from a Tails figure, which he sent me because, you know, Tails' head is just very versatile for making, you know, non-round heads. Anyone who doesn't have a round head is pretty much going to be Tails. So I had to sculpt on a whole bunch of stuff, like her hair. Those 2 little ponytails that are covered in beads are made out of one of those beaded keychain things. You know what a beaded chain is. Of course, I forgot to take a picture of it unpainted, but here, at least I got it before I painted the beads. They're actually glued together at that angle so that they flare outward slightly, so that even when they hang straight down, they still go out like that. That's kind of cool. Now, last time I made Nicole, I used Wave's torso. I did not have any Wave torsos on hand, but I did have this extra Blaze torso. Now you may be wondering why it's all painted up. Remember a couple years ago I made a Princess Sally as a Halloween joke. I made a Sally dressed in a witch costume. That was only a temporary custom which I later dismantled to make a regular Sally figure, but I still had the torso all this time, still with that paint job. So it was the perfect base to mod into Nicole, especially because Blaze's little coattails actually provide some support for Nicole's flared out little dress thing. Yeah. And since this is the pre-Super Genesis Wave design, she still has big old sculpted feet. And the legs come from Blaze this time, and they plug into the torso well, so why substitute them, right? Of course, just like last time, to homage her little digitizing effect, I added a few green line greebles to the bottom of one of her feet, so, you know, make a quick little nod to the fact that when she transitions in and out of her hollow form, she turns into this little black data with all these green circuit-looking lines on it. Now, the hands. If I had used Wave's arms unmodified, they would be way too long. They would actually reach her toes. She'd actually be touching the ground when she keeps her arms to the side. So I had to cut off the gigantic cuff on the end of her glove, and I even had to remove most of the mushroom cap from the arm itself. Then reattach the hands to that. This shortened the hands down to the point where they would look proportionately okay on you know, Nicole's body. Now I had to use Wave's hands because just like before, I didn't have the same parts that I used the first time I made you know, Nicole. Back then it was the Robot Chicken Nerd's hands, and that was the only pair I had, and it's not exactly a thing you can get anymore because the Robot Chicken Nerd's been discontinued. So, let's see what she looks like reassembled with these new parts. In fact, I think her entire body is completely different parts from the original one, so let's see how different that looks. Ah, there's more than one way to reskin a cat. Get it? Because, I took a Blaze the cat and made it into Nicole, who was Lynx, which is another kind of cat. It's a cat reskin. It's a reskin. That's a term for when you have... If you have to explain the joke, then it's not funny. Yeah, so, despite having, a very different recipe, like I said, the fact that she has hand-sculpted feet and Tails' head are the only things that are still in common with the previous Nicole that I made, I think she still looks pretty good. She still looks very much like the character, and it's still a really good figure with the same degree of articulation that the first one did. So, hooray for me! We got another Nicole here. Yay, Nicole, Nicole, we all love Nicole. Alright, so, yeah, that's a thing I did. Made, one of my favorite benevolent AI characters again. Alright, so, hopefully I'll have my next custom done pretty soon. Love you all. See you next time.